Hey there, Knicks fans. That'll be my last Macrism of the night, I think. Well, the Knicks Film School watch party jinx holds true. Or is it the Schmeelk jinx? I'm not sure which one. Knicks, unfortunately, their 9-game win streak is snapped. They fall to the Lakers 113-105. Hi, everybody. I knew we were expecting Jonathan Macri right now on this Knicks Film School recap right after the Knicks-Lakers game on this Saturday night. Mr. Macri, I'm sure right now, is drowning his sorrows at the Knicks Film School watch party at T-Squared Social in Manhattan. But I am here subbing for the group. I got my man APJP on the controls here, making sure everything is working. We'll take your super chats. And of course, make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Of course, go subscribe to the Knicks Film School podcast as well. Obviously, a disappointing night for Knicks fans. They fall to the Lakers again, 113-105. And look, regular season basketball, folks, I tend to take a bigger picture view of this sort of stuff. So let's not overreact to one loss, especially one at the tail end of a 9-game winning streak for the Knicks. And the truth of the matter is this loss was coming. And I think we saw the signs of it even in that really good win against the Pacers a couple of days ago, which was a fantastic emotional victory that I know I enjoyed the hell out of. But again, it was not an offensive barrage in that game. And with all these injuries the Knicks are dealing with, put Mitchell Robinson aside, but Julius Randle, Quentin Grimes, OG Anunoby, at some point, a team was going to come out and say, Jalen Brunson, you are not going to beat us. You're not going to beat us as a scorer, and you're also not going to beat us as a passer. This wasn't trapping off of screen and rolls. This wasn't double teams when he gets the ball in the paint or gets the ball in the post. This was Jalen Brunson touches ball on other side of half court line, double team comes, and he has to get the ball out of his hands. And the bottom line is that the Knicks did not have a player tonight that was able to consistently take advantage of those double teams. Dante DiVincenzo had a pretty decent game. He played fine, but that was the one guy the Lakers weren't going to leave. And the Knicks could not find an answer. And heading into that fourth quarter, I thought Josh Hart, despite the fact he did not shoot the ball well, played a pretty good game. He did his usual hustle stuff. He played pretty good defense. He had that great rebound where he was outside the three-point line, outran Anthony Davis to the ball on the baseline. He was doing Josh Hart types of things. But the problem is when you don't have Emmanuel Quickley anymore, you don't have the, RJ Barrett anymore, and you don't have the guy you traded for an OG Anunoby, you don't have your second best player and second best scorer in Julius Randle. You do not have Quentin Grimes, who has not shot well recently, but he is a threat as a shooter and even a cutter and as a driver. When those guys are not there, teams understand the Knicks are limited offensively when Jalen Brunson does not have the basketball. So the Lakers made him give up the ball, and the Knicks were not able to take advantage of those opportunities. And Josh Hart got the ball a couple different times, wide open from three, hesitated, didn't take the shot. And we all know right now, and we saw Josh Hart with that post-game comment a few games ago, when he said, I hope I'll make a shot before Jesus Christ returns to this earth. And he still hasn't for the most part. He did make that one baseline three earlier in this game, if memory serves. But the bottom line is that the Lakers said Jalen Brunson is not going to beat us, and the Knicks supporting cast was not good enough to get that done tonight. And part of that, again, they left Josh Hart open as the outlet, and he was not able to either hit the open shot or get into the paint and make the requisite play or pass to turn that possession into a score. And the other way the Knicks are able to take advantage of those types of double teams and rotating defenses is offensive rebounds. The Knicks did a decent job on the offensive glass in this game. I checked late in the game. I think they had 16 offensive rebounds. I'll double check that number now to see where they wound up in terms of those offensive rebounds. They did finish the game with 18, and that looks like a good number. The problem is when you took a look at what happened after a lot of those offensive rebounds, Anthony Davis was in the paint, and even though he did not have a big game offensively, he was just 4 of 12, plus 6, did not score a ton of points, just 12, but 18 rebounds, 4 blocks. And those 4 blocks do not tell the whole story. He was bothering every Knick attempt when he was in the game in the paint. Precious Achiuwa had that great game against the Pacers. He had a couple really good performances since his Randle's injury. The problem is that he could not get the ball up and over Anthony Davis. Even Hartenstein, when Davis was there, Hartenstein had trouble finishing over him. You saw even earlier in the game a number of drives by Knicks players where they would normally go up and try to shoot the ball. But guess what? Anthony Davis was there. And they tried to dish it off, pass it off, or they missed shots because of Davis's presence. And he was an absolute game changer inside. So when they took the ball out of Brunson's hands, the Knicks either would have to make their threes. Guess what? They didn't. 10 of 35, 29%. Or they were going to have to punish the Lakers in the paint. And Anthony Davis prevented that from happening as well. And you're going to get your points via threes. You're going to get your points in the paint. And when the threes aren't falling and Anthony Davis is shutting down the paint, that's how this game turned out the way it did. The Knicks went from the 7:25 mark in the fourth quarter to the 42nd mark in the fourth quarter without scoring a point. Not making a basket, mind you. There were no free throws in there either. They did not score a point. Dante DiVincenzo made a three with 7:25 to go. And then I believe he scored a two, was either on a drive or free throws. I didn't make a note of my notes here with 40 seconds to go. It was nearly a 7-minute scoreless streak. Now, to the Knicks' credit defensively, they did a pretty good job of staying in the game. You know, the Lakers did not pull away during that 7-minute stretch. I posted on Twitter right before the fourth quarter that LeBron was going to try to take over this game. And look, he did some LeBron things in the fourth quarter, made some nice plays, but for the most part, Precious Achiuwa did a pretty nice job on him. He did a good job, I thought. And then the Lakers did not pull away with their offense in that fourth quarter. The Knicks managed to keep that in that kind of 3 to 6 point area for a while during that stretch. But you cannot go 6 minutes and 45 seconds, which is exactly what it was, without scoring a point late in an NBA game and expect to win it. Now, that's the small picture here, folks. And look, Jalen Brunson was great when he had the ball. 15 of 31, 36 points. Now, I will say the double teams bothered him at the end. You saw him lose the couple balls. He lost that one ball on the left block. He threw one cross-court a pass that went out of bounds. And you could tell he took a couple threes that were not good shots in terms of quality, in terms of good chance of making them. But he knew he had to score if this team was going to win this game. He saw the writing on the wall. I get it. He had to press a little bit, and it didn't work. This game is not on Jalen Brunson. He did the best he could. And again, I will say this, though. I know a lot of Knicks fans got mad when a few weeks ago there was talk about, Brunson 1A, whatever. And I don't like labeling guys that sort of thing. I think it's silly. But this is where I think you see the lack of superior physical traits and athleticism from an explosive standpoint, where a guy like, LeBron can, power through a double team, or you can shoot over a double team if you're a really tall player. A guy like Brunson is going to have trouble, beating those double teams, especially when it was two big guys on him. A lot of times it was Taurean Prince and LeBron. Those guys are long and athletic. It's going to be really hard for Brunson to beat those double teams and score. When some of the other, bigger, more imposing or more athletic players can maybe do a little bit better against those double teams, Brunson's going to have some trouble just because of his physical stature. And again, not on Brunson. He was fantastic. This game had nothing to do with them losing it. Dante DiVincenzo, nice game. 6 of 16 from 3. He got a shot back falling a little bit. 10 of 22 from the field. 26 points. Some of those shots came at the end, but don't care. 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Just a really nice job by Dante DiVincenzo. And his ability to step up during the stretch with all of these injuries, I think has been eye-opening. I mean, the contract the Knicks have him on is a absolute bargain. Earlier in the year when he was shooting over 40% from 3 and it was a lot of wide open catch and shoot stuff, we knew he could do that from when he was in Golden State. We hadn't seen it for multiple years, so we wondered, was that a 1-year blip? Turned out not to be. It was great. But what he's doing now, shooting threes off movement, pumping, resetting, hitting threes, that's a different level of offensive player. So even when Randall gets back and Grimes gets back, I think you can feel good about DiVincenzo taking on a bigger offensive load to make up for the loss of RJ, to make up for the loss of Emmanuel quickly, and take more of that offense off of their shoulders. But the bottom line here, folks, and again, Deuce McBride was 3 of 8, 1 of 4 from 3. He had the nice and one. Pesky defensively, he did okay. Jericho Sims did force that travel on that Taurean Prince 3 late in the game by running out. But again, he's just going to be limited from an offensive standpoint. He is what he is at this point. We touched on Josh Hart. So Precious Achiuwa, again, had trouble in the paint, just 4 of 11 from the field. I think Anthony Davis's presence had a lot to do with that, but he did a really nice job defensively on LeBron James. So I'm not going to give Precious a hard time in this game. He had a really tough defensive cover. Josh Hart was on LeBron a couple times, but for the most part, it was Achiuwa, and the Knicks really didn't help in double much. So nice job by Achiuwa on LeBron, who finished with a nice stat line, 24 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 10 of 19 from the field. But this was not a LeBron MVP type of game. So I thought he did it pretty good here. Now, I already saw the tweets coming in. Fans are like, oh, they have to trade for somebody now, right? You need a secondary ball handler with the bench unit. I mean, how are you going to survive? I'll just say this. Take a listen to the previous Knicks Film School podcast. Go back 2 episodes. It's on the YouTube channel too. And again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks for being with us. Send in those super chats. We'll get to them in a couple of minutes here. I promise you. Okay? So when you take a look and you listen to that podcast from a couple days ago, recorded Friday and posted Friday with Jeremy, John, with Bobby Marks, Bobby Marks, I thought, made a really good point. You go out there and you add somebody. How many minutes is he playing exactly? 10 minutes? 12 minutes? What are you giving up for that player? How much is he going to play, especially when a guy like Randall gets back, Anunoby gets back, Grimes gets back? If you want to trade like a couple 2s or maybe that Washington or Pistons protected 1, for a guy that has a contract heading into next season, which, helps the cap if you want to make a trade, we know about those machinations by now, right? We've been through that a bunch of times here, and the guys have gone through that a lot on the Knicks Film School podcast and the Knicks Film School YouTube channel and everything they do here in John's newsletter. But, I'm not going to trade a serious asset for a guy that's going to come in here in a meaningful games once Randall gets back. It's barely breaking double-digit minutes. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. What happened in the fourth quarter in this game is not going to happen if OG Anunoby and Julius Randle, heck, Quentin Grimes is on the floor. What happened in this Laker game is not going to happen. You double team Brunson like that, and you get a pass to Randle at 18 feet away. He turns and he's basically running a 4-on-3. It's over. It's over. He's going to power to the basket or make the right play and find an open 3. This Laker defense does not work if Randle's there. It might not even work if OG Anunoby is there with his physicality and able to get into the paint. And frankly, if Anthony Davis isn't sitting there as your rim protector, this defense by the Lakers probably is not going to work. And how many other teams have a rim protector like that? Well, the Celtics, yeah, with Porzingis probably. Sixers not anymore with Embiid's injury. Bucks, Brook Lopez, maybe. But they're not Anthony Davis either. So, look, I would not panic here. I would not make you rethink what you're going to do at the deadline. If you can do something small without hurting your long-term assets, sure, maybe. But again, with the way this team is played, they play hard. They have enough players. It's not like they have minutes being played by players that don't belong out there and don't deserve minutes that they need filled. I get the want to add people. I do. And I do think to an extent, could another playmaker on the bench help this team? Sure. But when you get into the most important games in the playoffs and that guy's not even on the floor, you're going to say to yourself, was it worth it for the Knicks to send out an asset to add a player that's just not going to play a lot? I mean, who do you want to take off the floor? I think Deuce has earned his minutes. He's done a nice job. I don't think it's moving the needle enough where I'm sending Grimes out and like a first round pick, even one of the protected ones or something like that, or even one or the other. I just don't see it. I don't think that's helping you enough. I don't think it's moving the needle. I really don't. Remember, Jalen Brunson's playing 37 minutes, 38 minutes in the playoffs. That's what he's going to do. And that's what all stars do in the playoffs. And Julius Randle is going to be on the court, assuming he's healthy. And he looks like he's going to be. Now, if the Knicks know something that Randle's not going to be around, then yeah, you want to add another scorer? Absolutely. But if they believe Randall is going to be back and OG is going to be back, I don't know. I'm just not sure that the bang for the buck you're going to get out of whomever you add is going to be worth the price of admission. So I would just warn not to overreact to this. They just won 9 straight games. And, John, I thought, did a great job on the Pacers postgame. I was listening to that down in beautiful Mobile, Alabama, as I was recapping Senior Bowl practices. And what this team has done with these injuries has been amazing. Amazing. And that's your credit to Jalen Brunson, because the star player is always the most important thing for any team, but also the head coach, Tom Thibodeau. And if you thought if Macri wasn't here, you're not going to get some Thibodeau love, well, you are incorrect. Here it comes. For Tom Thibodeau to have this team with all those injuries, win 9 straight, and I know the competition wasn't great. I watch all the games, Hornets, Grizzlies, go through them. I know. Utah, I get it. Nets. Doesn't matter. Okay? He gets this team to play hard. They play a certain way. The players on this team play hard for him, and this team has been put together to play his style, and it works. It works. So that's where I stand. Disappointed by the loss, just like everybody else is. We'll get to your super chats here in a sec. But don't let this swing your overall opinion. Remember, teams are rarely as good as they are when they're playing their absolute best, 9-game winning streak, and they're not as bad as they are when they have a disappointing loss like this one.